Stoicism and Paul's New God. Written by David Breeden. Read by Justin Bovee. In a previous post, I related the story of Paul's trip to Athens, as told in chapter 17 of the Acts of the Apostles, or in Greek, Praxeas Apostolon. The book was written somewhere between 80 and 90 of the Common Era. Paul appears to have traveled to Athens sometime around 51 CE. Here is how the story goes in Acts. While Paul was waiting for them, Silas and Timothy, in Athens, he was deeply distressed to see that the city was full of idols. So he argued in the synagogue with the Jews and the devout persons, and also in the marketplace every day, with those who happened to be there. Also some Epicurean and Stoic philosophers debated with him. Some said, "What does this babbler want to say?" Others said, "He seems to be a proclaimer of foreign divinities." This was because he was telling the good news about Jesus and the resurrection. So they took him and brought him to the Areopagus and asked him, "May we know what this new teaching is that you are presenting? It sounds rather strange to us, so we would like to know what it means." Now all the Athenians and the foreigners living there would spend their time in nothing but telling or hearing something new. Acts 17:16 through 21, NRSV. Last week, I discussed what the Epicureans of the day thought. This week, the Stoics. Stoicism had been a major school of philosophy for about 300 years when Paul arrived in Athens. Unlike the Epicureans, who taught that the gods were unimportant because they didn't interfere in human affairs, the Stoics counseled respect for the gods of the state. Did the average Stoic on the street actually believe in the existence of the gods of the state? It's according to what we mean by belief and existence. What they did not believe in was the God being preached by Paul, the God who made the world and everything in it. He who is Lord of heaven and earth does not live in shrines made by human hands, nor is he served by human hands, as though he needed anything, since he himself gives to all mortals life and breath and all things. Acts 17:24, NRSV. The basis of Stoicism is simple. Control the uncontrollable. Don't try to control the uncontrollable. And the obstacle is the way. When all looks impossible, the tangle of circumstance itself is teaching how to go forward. Stoicism, like Buddhism, teaches methods for bearing and overcoming mental suffering. Hence, the Stoic philosopher Epictetus, we are affected not by things, events, but by the view we take of things. The baseline for Stoicism, in the form it took in the time of Paul, was much like the later deism. The universe is perfect and set, and we are all fated. Relax, go with it, and enjoy the ride. As the Roman Stoic Seneca put it, lay hold of today's task, and you will not need to depend so much upon tomorrow's. Like Epicureanism, Stoicism did not fold under Paul's preaching. Both philosophies were eventually suppressed by state Christianity, but both survived in the literature of Western world and cropped up in libraries and studies of thinkers through the years. As related in The Swerve by Stephen Greenblatt, Paul's conception of God brought together the Hebrew idea of a God that directly acted in human history, smiting Egyptians and Philistines and demanding absolute and exclusive obedience, but a God that was very much separate from human reality too. But in Paul's day, another sort of God was making the trip on the Silk Road out of Persia and into the Middle East. This concept was Zoroastrian. In this vision of God, the cosmos is a set of dualisms, flesh and spirit, good and evil, light and dark, and there is a continual battle among these dualisms. Now, just as there is interesting written record of the meeting of Christian and pagan thought record in the Praxeas Apostolon, there is an interesting myth recorded in the Gospel of Matthew when the Magi, the three wise men, visit the infant Jesus. These wise men were almost certainly Zoroastrians. And so we have this mythological meeting between Hebrew tradition and the Persian tradition. Paul had himself a brand spanking new hybrid God. The rest is, well, history.